We are live with another episode of BS Busters. This one's a little bit special because it's the Halloween episode. So without much ado, I'll have my other two panelists introduce themselves. But before we do, I just want to... Other people may join this podcast. The cast we're on. If there's time, we'll get them to introduce themselves. First, we're joined by the incredibly angry Samurai Jack. Introduce yourself, incredibly angry Samurai Jack.
I do so far doing nothing except trying to recover from an infection. Once I do, hopefully I'll get to see more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or a bunch of trauma movies to fit the occasion.
Okay then, and Kenoshi Abamanito?
Hello, this is Kenoshi Abamanito here to say that some of the most scariest games you'll ever play is anything made by Bethesda.
That's low, man. You know I downloaded the special edition yesterday. Mr. Red Fox.
Happy Halloween!
It's me, Mr. Red Fox. As you know, it's my own introduction. We're joined by a wild jewel writer. Please, introduce yourself. Oh, okay. I guess she's getting some stuff taken care of right now.
Hello.
Well, I guess stuff, Jewel.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Jewel Writer speaking, and I'm ready to play.
All right. This is Mr. Red Fox, the host and proprietor of BS Busters. And I'm glad to have another episode coming down. Content lately, but been busy. School, work, running a business, going back to school.
Funny thing to say that because I got it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a real, anyone who knows, and I'm going back for my master's, so that's a SOB. So anyway, now that we got that out the way, I guess it's time to get down to these topics, which we have a fun podcast tonight, and it should be relatively easy to get into. So, I asked
especially
everyone,
for this time of year.
Yes, it's
so
very
what
Halloween.
What's the question that's coming up?
The question, our first topic is our picks for our own top 5 scary games and why they are scary, and an interesting moment in that game that actually epitomized why it was kind of creepy. You don't have to go into great detail, but just, give us a general idea. And who wants to go first with their 5?
Well, I'll pick. I don't play a lot of scary games or
horror games.
Scary moments.
Okay.
I would have to say. I'd either have to say. Psychonauts would be one, no particular order. Just finding out that Raz was tangling up all of his thoughts together with the other people
Coach
that yeah, all of his thoughts and all of his ideas are being tangled within everybody else's. I know that was kind of frightening. I can cause some damage.
That's terrible.
So Majora's Mask, where you see Link loses humanity, there's sort of it's sort of paradoxical because you got the when he first turns into the Dooku trap, because you have these people trying to celebrate I think it was the Dooku butler's son, and then you have Link, slowly losing his humanity, and that was like, man, because you lost your sword and your shield. It's like, oh man, how am I supposed to travel like this?
You whip them with your vines, son. You whip them with your vine. That proves no matter what form Link is in, except in that bunny from fucking Link to the Past, he will get in your ass if he needs to.
I think the first time I tried Resident Evil, and I realized that I hated it. The scariest part about those games are the controls. because I thought that they were just
Yeah.
so bad.
And the inventory. Oh God, the inventory. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but that's all I can think of right now.
All right, who wants to? Oh, well, shoot. Sprite was in, then he's out. I guess he'll come back in when he gets a chance. Who wants to go next?
Well, as far as I could get, I don't got many horror stories myself, really.
Okay.
Though personally, if anything, mine's probably would be well, I'm gonna say the only time I sampled Twilight Princess of all things,
Really?
and whoever played it probably knows about the sequence of weirdness. Wide-eyed lynx.
Oh yeah, that is a little
Yeah,
unnerving. I didn't think that was creepy, but I mean I can understand why someone would think that was a little creepy.
I find it disturbing to me because, well, how the heck are you supposed to interpret that?
Yeah, it did look a little weird. It did look a little weird. I think from what I could gather, I think they were going for the power of the power of the corrupting power of chasing down the Triforce made some people give into their baser instincts, and it turned people against it turned brothers and sisters and friends and families and neighbors against each other, trying to acquire the golden power. And so basically,
well, it's like in Lord of the Rings, where I think I can't remember his name.
yeah, the One Ring corrupted
so much
people.
that it became, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they were going for, but it wasn't very well represented in that. And I know what you're talking about, but yeah, it wasn't very well represented. Any other games, Jewel?
Well, the only other game I could actually say that I had some weird thoughts of weird horror in a sense. This is probably going way back into some night into Chrono Trigger time when I tried to take on Lavos in an early fight before I was fully armored.
You took the bucket, didn't you? That is.
I had a backup save, so if anything, it was an experiment.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing too. I was like, because the guy's like, he's like, yeah, like Gasper. He's like, yeah, you can just, we got a bucket there. You can go fight Lavos if you want to. And it's like, man, I'm badass. What they don't tell you is that depending on how early
I took that guy on right when I was in I was stuck with the Jurassic period.
Oh yeah, yeah. What they don't tell you in that game is that the closer you fight Lavos to
the start of the game.
Well, the earlier you fight Lavos time-wise, the stronger he is. So, like, if you try, because if you've played like 2 or 3 new game pluses, you can beat Lavos when he reawakens in the magic time, in the Kingdom of Zeal. But like he hits harder in that age than he does if you go through the Black Dream later on and fight him that way. Like, it's one of those things like, damn, I can't believe this. And I've got super powerful equipment, and this bastard's hitting me harder than he does later on in the game. And that's the reason why they have an algorithm where the earlier you fight him, the harder he is. So, like, if you beat the game once and you get to the beginning of the game and you just go over to that other teleporter and fight him, then he's at his strongest.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah, but this was Square Enix when they were not shitty.
I was about to say Square Enix when they were pure.
Yeah, when they were good.
But otherwise, that's about it for me.
All right, that was. I mean, I could understand you being creeped out about that. Double A.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give him my best shot.
Okay.
Mikey Allen 2, The Chuck's Revenge, at the very end where you gotta gather all the voodoo ingredients to fight LeChuck, and you never know when he's gonna appear in the same room as you are. And when it does, I always get a bit startled, even though I know what to expect.
Okay.
Let's see. Earthbound had its moments, like the one where
Lord Barf.
and where you're in the mall and everything goes dark, and suddenly Paula is abducted, and or the one where you go, what was it, Fourth Side, where you essentially go on some kind of acid trip to some kind of other dimension. Then you find out that you didn't actually do that. And then, of course, Gygus, especially once you learn his backstory, essentially, and how Porky essentially becomes deranged to the point where he wants to end it all.
Well, that's what Porky gets for being a little asshole. I mean, we can all agree Porky,
little brat worse.
Or maybe a fat asshole. I don't know.
As I said, I would like to give that little brat worse.
All I know is that they gotta look like one of the three. Let's see, another example that I've seen that not actually played would be, I guess, Clock Tower on the original Super Nintendo. Just because,
the Scissor Man,
this girl, yeah, and then there's Dan, the quote-unquote giant undead zombie baby whose body's actually made up of many corpses, and the freaking mother who lured in these girls to get murdered and who apparently locked away her husband in a dungeon without any food until he became deranged to the point that he'll eat you if you don't have a piece of ham on you, and who apparently is the reason why the girl is an orphan. Her father was a doctor who helped with the delivery of her demon bastards, and once one of them ate his hand, she locked him until he died in a closet, and later you find his skeleton without the girl knowing that this skeleton is her father. And even though it's been many a year, I think that Clock Tower, the original one, Super Nintendo, still has, quite the power to scare people.
Oh yeah.
Another example would be, I'd like to say, the Thief series in general, but particularly in the third one, where you go into this place called the Shellbridge Cradle, which, as you find out, was both an orphanage and a nut house at the same time. Just that alone, just the idea alone is terrifying. But once you get in, you're essentially trapped because this building is somehow alive, and you're in there to free the soul of a little girl who was killed by this thing called the Hag. And if you ever experience it, it'll be one of the most harrowing experiences of your life. Because even though it's a stealth game, you're not Batman. You're more or less just a skilled but still average guy who's only armed with a bow and arrow, a little dagger, and a blackjack. Well, here you're besieged by the remnants, the memories of the insane people, the inmates, and the people who ran it, who are represented as these shadowy figures who, if they touch you, then boom, instant death. And what's the fucked up thing is, to escape, you essentially gotta more or less fool the building into thinking you committed suicide by jumping out a window.
Damn. That's I think I can say that's pretty fucked up. I think I can comfortably say that.
Yeah,
I think we
to
can
make it
all
more
agree
fucked
that is pretty messed up.
to make it even more fucked up, you
Somebody
gotta
get a
go.
street jacket for this guy.
Yeah, essentially to make it more fucked up, to free the little girl, you gotta collect some of her possessions. It includes her nightie, a dolly, and a vial of her own blood. Who knows why they would even have
Now,
that? The thing is, when you pick it up, the main character Garrett remarks that the blood is still warm.
Damn. Man, that was when Eidos actually gave a shit. Ah, man. It's a beautiful time.
No, actually, that was the remnants of Liquid Glass Studios,
Oh, you're right.
headed
You're
by
right.
Warren Spector.
Oh,
You know,
you're right.
before
You're
they,
right.
yeah.
That was Warren Spector. You're right. Warren Spector. Yep. But anyway, that was. I mean, you know. Yeah,
Another,
creepy.
another I would say creepy game. Not as creepy as Anderson's, but as Alice Madness Returns, the second one. Never played the first one.
that is a creepy game.
Yeah,
Well,
because
you
I
know,
like
the first one comes with the second one.
Now, you mean the second one comes with the first one?
No, yeah, the second one. That's what I said. The second one comes with the first game. Like if you beat the game, you get the first one too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Well, yeah, because I just like the idea of well, they took it like Alice in Wonderland, just being a world created by this mad woman, this woman who's suffering from the madness. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, but I kind of got me personally. I kind of got deluded because the whole murderous Alice in Wonderland has kind of been done to death. But still, you know, it is fucked up that essentially this woman would imagine the Mad Hatter being this mad scientist who turned the Dormouse and the March or the Hare into these half, fourth steampunk cyborgs.
I mean, the Alice in
Amongst
Wonderland.
many other fuck up.
The book was created by an opium trip, so the idea of it being a place of madness it makes sense.
And then you get to the second game,
I think
and it goes into some.
the simulator is more tame than that.
You know, here's what I'll say about Alice, because I have played those two games. The games are actually like American McGee. I actually like some of his games. Like I like the Alice games. I like Scrapland, which is basically Grand Theft Auto except set on a planet that used to be Earth, except the humans left it. So the robots have taken over. What?
Did you play Grimm Fairy Tales?
Yeah, and Grimm's Fairy Tales. Like I like American McGee. I don't think his games get the coverage they deserve for how good they are. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I'm saying they're really good. He's one of those, you know.
Yeah,
he's a good American developer and doesn't get props for it.
Yeah, he has an interesting imagination. Like, you know, those games are like they're not exactly the greatest platformers, but the world and the ideas and the story is interesting.
Like his games always feel like they could have used another 6 to 9 months of polishing and they would have been perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like if this thing just had another 6 to 9 months in the oven, it would have been just
Yeah.
I mean, they're serviceable, but another 6 to 9 months, perfect. Any more, Anderson, before we move on?
Let me think. I guess the piano from Super Mario 64.
Yeah, that was fucked up right there.
That's a jump scare.
Twilight Princess, when you fight Jita, the female Yeti, after she looks into the mirror. And one more thing. Is there one more thing? I guess that'd be it.
All right. I'm surprised you didn't say the Arbiter's Ground with all those corpses and ghosts of dead Sheikah.
Enough said.
And the ghost rats. Yeah.
Yeah. The ghost rats weren't that bad. It's like, damn, all these dead, tormented souls. This is fucked up, Zelda. but I'll go with my
And
5.
people say this is for kids.
Yeah, it's a kids game.
Yeah.
Here are my top 5. Here are my 5, and I'm going with 5. Number 5 is the Metroid Queen from Metroid 2. That is utterly terrifying, and it gets more terrifying once you understand the lore behind Metroid, like the series itself. It's terrifying when you're like a little kid playing her because like there's 2 ways to defeat her. Like there's the best way, and then there's like the way you do it if you don't have great hand-eye coordination. And the best way is that if you hit her, there's like a portion in her mouth that basically stuns her, and then you can just go to town spamming missile launches. Here's the problem. Most kids who are playing this game don't have that type of hand-eye coordination on that little shitty pixel screen. So you're picking, and you're hoping that you kill her before she kills you. It's one of the most harrowing and nail-biting fights I've ever been in a Metroid game. That's right. More nail-biting than Emperor Ing, Dark Samus, Omega,
SAX?
Metroid Prime, SAX. The Queen Metroid is still the baddest. She is the toughest fight I've ever had in a Metroid game.
I consider SAX still quite terrifying, so if anything, I believe you.
No, SAX is terrifying, but here's the thing that makes it even more terrifying, right? In Metroid 2 Return of Samus, okay, Samus is paid to commit genocide, like almost complete genocide, and these Metroids haven't really been bothering anyone. They're sitting on their planet. They don't have the ability to leave their planet. They're literally just living their life cycles out. And you come in there, you wipe out this species that it turns out later on, if you follow the lore of Metroid, is kind of necessary. And at the end, you kill a mother protecting her only living, surviving young. It's horrifying. You're actually playing as a fucking villain in Metroid 2 Return of Samus.
That's the thing that bugs me the most. That in Metroid 2, you're doing this and probably not even told why.
And guess what?
And it comes back to kind of haunt you in Metroid Fusion and 3, if I think about it.
Yeah, and guess what? This will not be the last time that Samus commits genocide on a planetary scale.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, we got a remake of
that of the Metroid series.
We got a remake.
No, I'm saying no, because think about it. Like she in Metroid 2, this isn't the last time she did it because because Metroid Prime takes place. The entire trilogy takes place between the original Metroid and Super Metroid and Metroid 2 Return of Samus and Super Metroid. They take place between those two games. Like Super Metroid and Metroid 2 are almost like connected because like Super Metroid's direct sequel to Metroid 2. But between the first one and those two games is the Metroid Prime. So basically in Metroid 2, she commits genocide because she helps bring balance to Ether, but in the process fucking wipes out Dark Ether and kills all those Ing. Now I know the Ing were fucked up, but some of those Ing were just containers. They wouldn't fucking with anybody. They were just, I hold shit. What the fuck? No!
Look, all I know is that if they switch to the Metroid title, a lot of people are gonna die over it, and then the series is gonna be haunted.
Yeah, the only people who actually played Prime and haven't played anything else.
Yeah, they played one Prime game. They're experts with the franchise. So the second scary ass game for me is I'm just gonna say it, believe it or not. This game creeped the shit out of me. The first time I fought Lavos, and you realize that like all the things that have been going on in Chrono Trigger, all the monsters, everything like that has been orchestrated by Lavos to basically maximize the energy that its larva can absorb, so that they can leave that planet and go infest other planets. And it's a horror. It's not like horrifying, like ooh, that's scary. It's like it's a horrifying concept to think about. A planetary infection, a planetary parasite.
You're essentially fighting this demon god. Yeah, you're essentially just fighting a god, a godlike creature that has created a lot of the events that have happened throughout that world.
You're fighting an intelligent parasite. It's creepy. That is a creepy thing, because normally when you think of a parasite, it's like it's following its genetic programming. But Lavos is intelligent.
You know,
Lavos,
that reminds me of the SAX and what was that game? Parasite Eve.
yeah, Lavos is intelligent, which leads me to my third terrifying thing, another intelligent parasite, the Leviathans from Metroid Prime Corruption. Holy shit, that is horrifying. And the thing that's creepiest of all is what happened to the pirate home planet. Like literally, the pirates start as using the Leviathan parasite as a ready source of Phazon, right? But then, if you read the logs, you see where some pirates are like, "This shit's fucked up. It's destroying our planet. It's corrupting us." And the pirates are turning against each other, taking out the ones who haven't been corrupted because their planet is being converted and parasitized and turned into a host for this fucking parasite. That's some horrifying stuff.
Don't forget that Dark Samus essentially takes over them, and they start worshiping her as a Dark Queen, and then the dissenters are killed and possibly eaten.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The dissenters, like, because there's a portion where like you see these pirates are fighting against other pirates. You're like, well, that seems weird, but you notice the ones that are getting shot down are the ones that aren't corrupted. So that tells you that even as fucked up as the pirates are, they're like, shit. Someone was like, God damn, this is fucked up.
Also, don't forget in
what?
Yeah, don't forget in hindsight that essentially the Leviathans are what caused the problems in the Prime 1 and 2. In Prime 1, it hit Talon 4 and it corrupted some of the Chozo so that they were barred from the afterlife and they were trapped on this plane of existence as insane, crazy ghosts. And in the second one, apparently it pulled off a Super Mario movie, which by itself is horrible, and split the world into two, a light version and a dark version. And we find out that
the golden land and the dark world now. Sorry, they turned it into Hyrule and the dark world. That's a good term.
Yeah. Then we find out that just where the Phazon all came from, essentially a sentient planet called Phase.
That's raping other planets. It's raping other planets.
But the thing is that apparently before it was just kind of aimlessly doing it. And once Dark Samus took it over, implanted an Aurora unit to the core, that's when they started becoming more calculated with its strikes.
Yes, and I mean that is a horrifying thing, and that's only number 3. Number 2, I'm just gonna say it. I know a lot of people don't like this game because it's made by Rockstar, but fuck you guys. Manhunt and Manhunt 2. Those games. Those games.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those games were just created for shock
It
value
depends.
because we could.
Look, any game like in Manhunt 2, there's a part where you go to a sex club, and in order to get into the back, you got to cut a dude's head off and hold it up to a thing so that you can get through. It is. Oh my God, Manhunt is fucked up. I mean, it is. Some of the implications in that game are like, God damn. this is fucked up. I'm glad they haven't made any more because I don't like. There's nothing the only thing they can do in Manhunt 3 is have you maybe have sex with a corpse. That's the only thing that would be more shocking than Manhunt 1 or 2.
Yeah, I hate shock for the sake of shock. Like if you're trying to say something, or whether I agree with it or not, like if you're trying to actually say something about something, that's fine. But for shock value for the sake of being shocking, I can't stand that stuff.
Well,
I agree.
The shock in Manhunt was actually kind of part of the story. Like the first one, it was integral to the story. The second one, when you get to the twist, like all the other shit that you've done to get to that point is like, oh, it makes it more horrific. So the shock value actually has a purpose. But I get what you're saying. Like there's the thing.
Mind if I try to explain essentially the story of 1 and 2 the best that I can?
Okay.
Okay,
Basically, the overall story of the first game is that you're this guy who's
a death row inmate.
Well, yeah, you're a death row inmate who's been given a shot at freedom by competing in this sick televised killathon, and you get points for how badly you kill people. But here's the thing, and you have to. It's like a game. You have to get from point A to point B. But here's the thing: everyone is like basically overpowered compared to you. Like you have no weapons, they have guns and bats and shivs, and you've got nothing. But as you get through the first one, you basically figure out, okay, like there's a deeper conspiracy going on, and you eventually get revenge on the people that did it. The second game, you play a guy who is trying to escape from a mental institution for something. Initially, you just think it's for something, but you find out that this guy's wife was killed. He's trying to find the murderer. Turns out he did kill his wife, and he's crazy. And when he reaches sanity and realizes, oh shit, I killed my wife, like there's a moment in the game where you have to make this choice. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a fun game. And if you have the Wii version with the motion controls, oh boy, that game is even more hardcore. But
wait, so you're telling me a Nintendo console possesses the closest thing to an actual murder simulator you can get until VR, with the weirdos get to creepy points?
Well, actually, the Wii has the two best murder simulators of all time. It has Godfather Black Hand Edition, which with the Wiimote, when you're choking someone, it really feels like you're choking someone. And obviously, like I just said, Manhunt 2, which is off the chain. But
Nintendo Skitty and the motion controls are a gimmick.
Well,
Switch.
Tell that to the times that my controller would die because I would basically play Godfather Black Hand for hours and hours, for like 8 hours straight. Anyway.
And to think, all this is on something and on Halloween's night.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's appropriate. It's totally appropriate for Halloween. My number one scary game, obviously, well, not obviously, I talked about it before in the chat, some of you weren't here, is Shadow Man. The game is very atmospheric. It deals with some very dark subject matter, and there are portions. There's a point in the game where you fight enemies that are invincible, and the only way you can defeat them is by it being nighttime and your character transforming into his alter ego, which can do damage to certain types of enemies. It's just a very, very dark game. When I say dark, it's also kind of dark because on the N64 the texture is like, it's very grainy dark game, but it's just the subject material is very dark, and if you want a creepy experience, it's great. Runner up was Masquerade, was Bloodlines, but Masquerade Bloodlines is kind of funny too. It's like kind of humorous, so that kind of mitigates some of the horror aspects of it. Anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next topic?
I guess I just mentioned a few, runner-ups or honorable mentions so that people don't try to jump you or anything.
Okay.
Let's see, Eternal Darkness.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, I guess Parasite Eve, kinda.
Yeah. The first one more so than the second one.
Right. Let's see what else. Those Amnesia games,
Yeah.
Dark Descent, and The Machine for Pigs,
Fatal Frame.
of course. Even though it was quote unquote censored. But hey, if you're playing a horror game, you're doing it to get aroused, not to get scared. Apparently, let's see.
Uh,
I guess Resident Evil technically, if only because you gotta mention it. Maybe Doom 3.
Yeah, I guess to an extent, Doom 3 is kind of scary.
Dead Space, even though it got ridiculous to the end. And probably doesn't count as horror, but what the hell? House of Dead, especially Overkill.
Yeah, you know, I don't consider that scary, but I can see how some people. I give it an honorable mention just because the black detective curses so effectively. I got to give him
Isaac
points.
Isaac Clarke calls everyone
Yeah,
a motherfucker except the one guy who actually is.
yeah, that dude is. Oh man, House of the Dead. Sega, why don't you re-release House of the Dead Overkill? Anyway,
Well, they did. They did for the PS3 as a director's cut, but how many people
yeah,
you know
that.
who own a move?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even gonna. We shall not talk about that garbage. Um. So let's move on to the second topic, which is just
horror
as fun, I
movies.
think.
By the
Well, I
way,
mean, you could.
if people you're questioning why I didn't mention Five Nights at Freddy's, that's more interactive screensaver than anything. So
Heck,
Just
yeah.
shitting on people's games. Don't do that. So basically, we're gonna talk about our favorite horror movies. Like just you don't have to go five like I did. You could go one or two. Just something that really stands out. You're like, oh shit, that was creepy. Go.
Uh, I got this one. At least for me, I got only two. My first one would be Gremlins,
Okay.
specifically Gremlins
that's a horror
2.
movie.
Well,
In
there
a
are parts
sense,
of
it
it that are
is.
horrifying. Like the ending of Gremlins
I said
2,
in
where
a
the guy's gonna
sense.
sleep with the female gremlin. That's horrifying.
Yeah, enough said there.
Yeah, here's your fun nerd fact of the day. The guy who played the executive who was locked in the bathroom with the female gremlin at the end of Gremlins 2 is Robert Picardo, who would go on to play the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager.
Mm.
There's your fun fact.
Well, at least with him, well, at least people don't associate him with that, unlike the guy who did that thing to the pie, or
Oh,
the guy who got,
you mean
or
the
the
pie
guy who got,
effort? Yeah.
yeah, or the guy who got dreamed in the woods with
Uh,
Deliverance. In
Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call him, Lex Luthor's sidekick from Superman. Just anything but not squeal like a pig guy. Okay, who wants to go? Although Deliverance is kind of a horror movie. Who
I
wants to go? No, you're still going, Jewel. Sorry.
Yeah, I had only one other one,
Okay.
and if anything, that's kind of weird because I'm not sure if you count it as a movie or not. Final Destination, and the fact that I barely got through half the movie before having a hurl. Well, I just say that's just some wrong chain of events.
Just some effed up stuff. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Okay, now that you've gone, who wants to go next? Kanoshi?
What's the question again?
Question
Favorite
is,
horror
We're in the
movies.
horror
do
movie
you have any
section.
horror movies that just like you're like, damn, that was disturbing. That was kind of creepy. That scared me a little bit.
Yeah, most of the horror movies I've seen were kind of lame.
Blah.
Yeah,
It's
just
terrible, man. Don't you like to be scared?
I mean, I don't know, like
For me, that when I found out that I didn't want to go for horror movies, yeah, it's the time when I throw up.
I think I think one of the creepiest horror movies is where you figure out that one of the characters is actually a robot at the end of the movie. I think it was like a made-for-TV horror movie, but like there's this chick who could jump out of houses and be fine and do all this crazy stuff. Then she ends up in a morgue, and somebody takes her out of the morgue, and you find out she's this evil-looking robot thing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So you don't have a movie, just okay, all right. Anderson.
Yeah, let me try to give it a shot. Well, for one thing, was it John Carpenter who made The Thing?
Yep. Well, he did the remake, but yeah, he did it.
Okay. Then The Fly, the remake by, dang, what's the guy's name?
Damn,
Yeah.
you're stealing Mel Brooks and David Cronenberg.
Really, I thought it was the other guy. What's his name?
No, Mel Brooks and David Cronenberg worked on the remake for The Fly. That's right, Mr. Robin Hood Men in Tights and Young Frankenstein was the producer of one of the most fucked up horror movies I have ever seen before in my life.
Wait, David Lynch. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Young
that was
Frank-
David Lynch didn't do The Fly.
Let's see. Then there's that movie by Kevin Smith, Tusk, where a guy essentially becomes a Frankenstein walrus or something.
Yeah, that was god. That was some like when someone says Kevin Smith, I'm like, okay, this is either going to be a horrible comedy or like a somewhat passable action movie. Nope, it's a horror movie and an effective horror movie at that.
Let's see. I guess maybe Eraserhead.
Oh yeah, that's fucked up, man.
And essentially a lot of things from Chrome Entertainment, particularly Poltergeist and The Chicken Dead.
Yeah, Poltergeist. I would say the original Toxic Avenger, if you can ever watch the unrated version, is.
Yeah, but thing is, even though it's supposed to be horror, I love the Toxic Avenger. I love
Yeah,
what
I
he
like
does.
Toxic too, but I mean, some of those deaths are like, God damn, Jesus, what the hell?
Yeah, but he's a hero we need.
Yes, from New Jersey, from Jersey, right up the road. Who wants to go next? Oh. Shit, I'm the last one. Okay, this is gonna be tough because I watch a lot of movies, but I'll keep it to under 5 or under. This isn't really a movie, but I thought it was kind of creepy. Anyone remember the X-Files when it was good?
I knew about it, but I never
Like
saw
back
it.
in the day? Okay. Well, there's this one episode in the X-Files, like in the first season, called Homecoming. And it's about this family of inbred, grotesquely mutilated due to inbreeding family of Hicks, like rednecks in the southern town. And they basically, like, their mother has this baby girl, but the baby girl is so deformed that she dies. Like, it's a stillborn death. So they bury this infant in the middle of this baseball field. And these kids find it, and it sets the Mulder and Scully on this wild goose chase. And they eventually wind up finding out that these 3 brothers are the sons of the mother but the oldest son is actually also the father of his other two brothers. and 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 at the end,
That's some weird
yeah,
shit.
yeah, at the like, but here's the creepy thing. At the end, like Mulder and Scully basically raid the house and they kill two of the brothers, but the mother and the oldest son escape. And like he puts his mom in the trunk, and at the end of the thing, like he gets in the trunk, and you hear his mother talking to him, says, "Well, we managed to escape. I guess it's time for us to start a new family." And it's horrifying. It's like it makes your skin crawl. Number two, the next one, Anderson stole from me, The Fly. If you guys ever get a chance to watch it, it's really good. I guess as a consolation prize, since he stole The Fly from me, watch The Fly 2. There's a scene in that movie where a guy's face gets disintegrated with acid, and it is fucking awesome. It is awesome. Here's number 3 is a John Carpenter classic, one that I've always loved. The Prince of Darkness. It has Donald Pleasance in it from Halloween fame, but he's not playing Dr. Loomis. He's playing a priest, and it's got some pretty fucked up shit in it, but I love it. It's got some pretty creepy stuff in it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you'll never look at a mirror the same way again. That's all I'll say. Number 2 is The Omen, with Gregory Peck, not that shitty remake they made a few years ago.
Isn't it? Didn't a lot of people who worked on either one of those movies die?
The Omen?
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know. I mean, I know Gregory Peck was kind of like towards the twilight of his career when he was in that movie. I think the last movie Gregory Peck made was The Boys from Brazil, which was about these Hitler clones.
I've been saying that supposedly a lot of people who actually were in that movie or helped to work in that movie, a lot of them then died soon after.
Could be. I don't know. What I will say is this: is that it has some of the most appropriate movie for a movie about the Antichrist. The theme song for the film is Ave Satani, done by Jerry Goldsmith, and it is, oh god, you hear that music, you're like, yeah, this is some devil shit right here.
Skin crawling.
It's pretty fucked up. And my number one creepy movie. Yeah, my number one creepy movie to watch on Halloween. As a matter of fact, I'm probably gonna watch this shit tonight after I'm finished talking on this podcast and everything like that. Is Dawn of the Dead, not the George Romero remake, but or not Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. It's a George Romero film. It's got some really great special effects from Tommy Santini. What?
I was saying from the past and not the cheap rear end graphics that we're seeing of today, aren't they?
Well, these are practical special effects, so like real. Like for me, I think CGI is used too much nowadays. It's like CGI is like makeup. Okay, you use too much makeup, and you start to look ridiculous, right? Men or women, too much makeup is ridiculous. It's like cologne. Like cologne is supposed to accentuate. Is supposed to be like a hint. It's like a hint of whatever it is, a hint of musk, a hint of perfume, a hint of fragrance. It's
not
like
a cover up.
Yeah, if you're dousing yourself in the shit, it's offensive, and that's how it feels when I see films that have way too much CGI. It's like, God damn, Jesus, that's too much.
One of the things about really good CGI is like whether it's like in a fantasy or like or a real world situation, it actually looks like it belongs there rather than looking out of place.
Well, yeah,
Like, it
I mean
could've
that's a
just-
part of it. But like the best CGI is where it fits into practical special effects. Like Jurassic
It's subtle.
Well, like okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Jurassic Park from the '90s. That film is old as shit. It's one of the first films that had a decent amount of CGI. At the time, they were like, "This has tons of CGI." It really didn't. It had more practical effects than CGI. But because the CGI was used very well and it was to accent shit that was actually there most of the time, that movie has aged really well. I guarantee you that in 10 years, Jurassic World will not have aged nearly as well as Jurassic Park.
Well, it's already been what, a year or two, and it's already showing its age. So yeah.
Because it's just too much CGI, no practical special effects. It looks ridiculous.
Technically, in my opinion, if you're gonna mix CGI with live action, it's gonna be done subtly, along with a lot of practical effects, so that it's kind of hard to tell. That's why a lot
Yeah.
of people played Mad Max Fury Road.
Well, I mean,
And-
it's supposed to accent what's already there. It's like, okay, this monster needs to look a little bit more monstrous, and we don't have the budget for it. Okay, let's use CGI. Like we already have something here. Let's use CGI to make it look more badass. But I mean, like some CGI makes it look like you're watching a fucking video game being played. You're like, where's my controller? Like you're watching the movie. You're like, I need to press the controller because it looks so fake.
Actually, most of the time, it looks like Michael Bay just used everywhere, and nobody's had decency to stop him.
Michael, stop! So with that being said, on that note,
Wait,
we can move
before
on.
we move on, I'd like to put an honorable mention to, if I'm getting this right, a movie called Jacob's Ladder.
Oh yeah, that's a fucked up film.
Okay, so what's next?
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Here's
I
the
think our
film.
next thing is
What is your one video game horrifying scenario? Now, this could be the market. This could be a certain franchise. Something that could happen that would be, this is horrifying. I can't believe this shit happened. And the example that I gave is, what if Sony went out of business and the PlayStation brand disappeared? How could this be avoided? Whatever. Who wants to go first?
probably
Hannon?
probably me for this one, because I could easily say a lot of people would really love this because of how hip they are, but we all know how terrifying it would be. Nintendo and third party. As in Nintendo becoming that.
The scariest thing in the industry?
Yes.
So
Because
Nintendo's
if
saying we're not
anything,
making hardware anymore. We're just gonna make our games for other people's shit, basically.
you can imagine that that's the equivalent of cats and dogs sleeping together, and oh god, you can actually hear some people saying yes, and then followed by no.
Yeah.
That sounds like all the people going apeshit over the Switch.
I mean, we already saw this with Sega. Because remember when Sega first went third party, everyone's like, oh man, we don't need to buy a Sega console to enjoy Sega games. It's going to be great for everybody. And Sega went
To be honest with
downhill.
you, I felt sad hearing Sega going away, because if anything, that was real. I mean, there was real potential. I mean, I may not have been a big Sega fan at times, but when I couldn't be interested in what they do for hardware because of how they acted with the hardware, that just kind of saddened me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they still have all those IPs that we're probably never gonna see again. Yeah, it's only a matter of time before Yakuza disappears, and then what we're gonna be left with? Sonic and whatever the licenses they got, like
Nah,
Alien.
man, they got Hatsune Miku.
And you
I'm
know
sorry.
what the worst of it is?
I hate Hatsune.
Because
What
I was
is
gonna
that?
say the
That's
worst of it
Diva?
is because I remember one phrase that came to mind when the when one of the Sega consoles came out. We need we don't need those RPGs.
Yeah, yeah, that was
So wait,
Bernie.
Sega created. So Sega created the monster that is Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, it's a Sega
What?
IP. That's Sega.
Excuse
Yeah,
me,
that's
excuse me,
unfortunate.
but what is that anyway? Is that like that diva with the green hair I've seen on
Yeah,
occasion?
it's an idle game. You know, it's an idle
Uh,
game. Like you play as this uh, anime-esque female idol named Hatsune Miku. She sings songs. It's like a karaoke type rhythm game, and it's really fucking popular in Japan because they like weird shit like that. And I know some people are gonna say that's not weird. Look, you people having concerts for people who don't actually fucking exist, that's weird. And I'll say the same thing about people saying
Well,
the Splatoon sisters. Yeah, that's weird, dude.
what about
I mean,
gorillas?
okay,
Believe it
you
or not,
can
this kind of
like
happened
you
as recently
well
as
the
this year,
gorilla
I think.
the gorillas and Metalocalypse, those are kind of well, Metalocalypse more than the gorillas are joke bands. Like people
Yeah, but
know
Metalocalypse is
that.
actually has a real band behind it. Like,
Wait, are they still around? Actually, or
well,
did
I mean,
they?
they aren't as popular, but there's an actual band behind it. It's not just some fake shit. Like they're real people there. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just whatever. What were you gonna say, Jewel?
Well,
Um, I'm here still, and I was saying that if anything, with what you said earlier about the concert that is performed by no one in a sense, the we kind of have that kind of today because of the Squid Sisters
holograms.
concert.
Yeah, and I said earlier that that's just as it's horrifying that people are that invested in something that doesn't actually exist and has no real value. It's like someone falling in love with a computer program.
I was
Why?
gonna say with I thought it would be as weird as somebody falling in love with a pillow.
It would be shit. Go to Japan. They do that.
Yeah, and about that whole falling in love with a computer program, that's what VR is for, baby. Not for
Yep.
gaming, but for
They
that
actually
kind of
look. You're gonna be like Joaquin Phoenix and her. Some poor bastard. My girlfriend's angry. Well, can I meet her? Yeah, she's in the computer. God damn it, you fucking loser. Sorry. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't.
I can understand. No, I can understand the storyline in
You-
which your girlfriend is. If anybody's played, like Soma, or her conscience
You
is
might
played
want to
out,
hold on to your
downloaded into the
stars
computer.
because if anything,
But,
thing is
I was
people.
about to say.
well,
Go ahead.
Here, Jewel. Let Jewel go, and
Mhm.
then Kenoshi, and then
I'm sorry. It's just that if anything, I just remember the weirdest thing I ever heard was somebody marrying their 3DS girlfriend.
Yeah, the dude did it in Japan. He married his 3DS girlfriend. I was like, what the hell is this shit right here? Yeah, damn. That is literally the definition
Yeah.
of marrying a woman you can control. Literally.
Well, hey Nintendo, perfect opportunity to reopen the love hotels.
That's all they need to do. We need to get cameras together, men and women together. Okay, Kenoshi, you go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that if you're, I can understand falling in love with a computer if it was an actual person whose conscience was dumped into the machine, but an actual program, yeah, that's just bizarre.
Yeah, if they ever get to that point, we should do a futurist podcast where we talk about future technology and if they actually go in that direction. But that is neither here nor now. I guess it's so. Jewel said her horrifying video game scenario, which is Nintendo going third party. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give it a shot. Eventually, it'll be to the point where all these crazy haters get to a point where they become actual terrorists and actually commit attacks against, people working at Nintendo, all because they want a certain game done a certain way, or they want them to do things a certain way. Just imagine the horror of crazy people raiding an Air Force base with Kitsune mask, or a feather mask, or a bunny mask, or a frog mask, and then just kamikaze into Nintendo HQ, or people spending a lot of money to get these tricked out cars, only to then just crash them into wherever they think, Miyamoto lives, all in exchange for these games. So, actually that's something I'm kind of writing about. It's, a scenario where people get so extreme that they're willing to do something so stupid and something so destructive just because they're that entitled.
So the solution to that, I think, would be to make Hideki Kamiya the Nintendo's official PR relations man. Give him a new title: Bullshit Buster in Chief. It's like people are like, we want this game. No one gives a shit what you want. Shut the fuck up. And the sad thing is that I could actually see him saying that. Okay, so we had Anderson. We had Joel.
Next is Kenoshi or you.
It's Kenoshi's next. I'll go last. Kenoshi, go.
My fear is that AAA is that I don't know, the games go $120. I mean we're basically already there.
Well, you go to Canada or Australia or other places, then yeah.
Your fear will be true.
Well, the game is technically $60 over there. It's just that their currency isn't as worth as much as the currency in American dollars. Isn't as strong as the American dollar. So like
We've already got that.
Yeah, because they piecemeal the games. So I guess that's the biggest fear. But yet at the same time, maybe it should happen as another great video game crash.
Sorry, we're already kind of in the middle of a great video. I mean, we've seen so many studios shuttered and so many IPs just turn into dust and blow away. Yeah.
You're right about that. So many of those good IPs get shot down. So many studios close because of too much graphics.
Last I checked, 109 studios have died off so far.
Yeah, and these aren't just little indie startups, like big studios that we grew up with, like major studios that have been around for years.
I was gonna say, either they fell to the ashes, or they got Kirby'd.
Yeah, they either got ate and then shat out, or they just died. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I think gaming is going to have to change radically, which segues into my nightmare scenario of the video game industry. My nightmare scenario for the video game industry is it's terrifying because it's already happened. The complete ethical bankruptcy of first-party console manufacturers. So instead of
And
putting
that's 2 out of 3.
creating a healthy market for consumers and themselves in front and foremost, they bend over backwards to placate to third parties, and third parties in turn basically soil the pool and mess up the water for everybody. Which I think that's what they've been doing. I mean, it's not good.
At some point, these third parties became kind of like the monolith or something of gaming, the paradigm that people think they need in their lives, even though these days they get less and less in return.
Yeah. I mean, but in all seriousness, I think that the nightmare would be if Nintendo were to become like that too, like start paying for exclusives, being like Microsoft and Sony, bending over backwards and letting third parties just take them any way they can. And
when
just
you say
accepting it.
when you say paying for exclusives, you don't necessarily mean like Wonderful 101 or
No.
things like that,
When I
right?
say paying for exclusives, I mean kind of like what Microsoft did with.
You mean timed exclusives or?
No. Okay, like you know how Microsoft did with Titanfall, like they paid EA for that game to get made. Okay, the engine, all the assets, and everything like that. The game flopped miserably on the Xbox One and PC, and then EA took those assets that Microsoft paid for, okay, footed the bill for, and now they're using those assets to create Titanfall 2, which is going to be a multiplayer. So basically, or you can look. Everyone's always like, "Hey, why you always got your foot up Microsoft's ass?" I'll look at Sony. Sony entered into a special relationship deal with Capcom for Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V has sold 1.4 million units. It has been outsold by
Pokken,
Smash Brothers Melee, Smash Brothers 4. Quite a few games.
That's pathetic when you consider. That's pathetic when you consider supposedly how many PS4s are in people's homes.
The PS4 is at 45 million units sold, and it's like look. There's a reason Capcom's like shit, but this is what they get for. This is what Capcom gets for basically. Like, I don't know how you fuck up Street Fighter. Like, Street Fighter is very formulaic. It's really hard to mess up something that already has an established formula. You know?
Well,
And yet they've been screwing it up for Street Fighter 4 and 5.
Yeah, but I mean, like, here's the thing. When Street Fighter 4 came out, we were like, man, this thing sucks. But Street Fighter 4 is still technically, it feels like it's part of the Street Fighter franchise. It has a lot of the same features. It has a decent roster. It has multiplayer. It has single player. The online works pretty well. Street Fighter V didn't have. Oh, and it has bonus games. Street Fighter V didn't have bonus games. It didn't have a single player. All it had was multiplayer and matches that you could have with the CPU. Kanoshi, you have that game. Did it have a training mode?
Yeah, I had a training mode. I actually had that.
Okay. It had a training mode. So basically, it had 3 things, whereas the other games, even all the way back to the original Street Fighter, had 5.
And
That's
mostly everything that's in it, you have to be online for it to count.
Jesus. Yeah. And to think, people compare Street Fighter V to Splatoon.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Because here's the thing. Splatoon, even before it had its fall update, its August update, like all this extra content, Splatoon, even if you never had that content, was still a complete game. Maybe a little bare bones, but you had a single player and you had a multiplayer, right? You had competitive multiplayer and then like more of a fun multiplayer. You had a complete game day one, okay? Whereas Street Fighter V was missing basic shit that had been a part of Street Fighter since the original Street Fighter. So,
you You know it's bad when you mess up what's essentially the base formula for entire genre. It's like messing up
Exactly.
It's like messing up Super Mario, the basic of programming in all platformers.
It's like, I mean, I feel like being like, some guy with shades on and pulling them off saying, how do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up? It's so simple. How do you fuck that up? And yet Capcom found a way to fuck that up.
Considering somebody effed up Tetris,
Well, that was Ubisoft.
someone effed up Tetris.
Yeah, but that was Ubisoft. Like, okay, let me put it this way. Ubisoft hadn't made that many Tetris games. EA, when they were making Tetris, effed it up too. The only people who had a Tetris license and didn't F it up were Nintendo and Atari.
Hold
and
on.
I know some people
What
say
was that you
Tengen, but Tengen is
The only
Atari.
ones that didn't F it was Atari and Nintendo.
Yeah, because they kept Tetris simple. Like, it wasn't some bullshit. They kept it simple. The only time that they did something weird with Tetris, they didn't really do something weird with Tetris. They just took Tetris, they put the Tetris name on something that was different, like Tetris Attack, which was really pounded upon. It wasn't Tetris. It wasn't a Tetris game.
What about Tetrisphere?
Oddly, that's one of my favorite games.
Oh yeah, I love Tetris Attack. I think Tetris Attack. I actually like the American version of Tetris Attack better than the Japanese Pound Upon, and I think it has some of the best Bowser boss music I've ever heard before in my life. In Pound Upon. Yep. It's pretty damn badass. Like, really, I'm like, I like Bowser's theme music from Super Mario World, but his theme music from Tetris Attack, especially like the SNES or GameCube. Well, I mean, it was only on the SNES and GameCube. Is really good. And then they swapped it out from Tetris Attack with Yoshi to Pokemon Puzzle League, but it's Tetris Attack. I don't know why they call it Pokemon Puzzle League. It's Tetris Attack. Lying bastards! They lied. They lied.
Hey, to go back to Street Fighter V, when was the last time they updated? Shouldn't there have been an update for October? Something Halloween related, maybe?
Man,
or
I don't know.
Kind of stop?
Who gives a shit about that game, really?
I'm just saying, people should put these third parties under the same scrutiny as they do the big N.
Look, man, we all knew that game was not gonna. Look, we knew that game was. Look, I'm gonna tell you when I knew that Street Fighter V was in deep trouble, and Kenoshi was the bellwether for it for me. When Kenoshi said, "Yeah, I'm getting into Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue," and this was the guy who was like really into, like, he bought the shit day one. I was like, if a day one dude doesn't give a shit about this game, I know that like the average consumer would be like, no. And I think all the controversy that surrounded that game kind of hurt that game.
Yeah, and
Like,
the
lack
fact
of
that
features and just basic shit. They fucked it up.
the fact that Pokemon Tournament sold out, before an unproven fighting game sold out before this proven, sold more than this proven franchise. I know that it's Pokemon characters, but still, it wasn't. I mean, I don't know how many people out there thought that a Pokemon fighting game would actually work. Besides probably me.
No, I thought that would actually be a good idea, but like, I wouldn't have thought that it would have outsold a fucking Street Fighter game. But like, it's not that it outsold the Street Fighter because it sold fantastically well. It outsold the Street Fighter because this Street Fighter is terrible. It's not a good Street Fighter game. And I've heard people try to defend it. Well, the gameplay is really good. Let's keep it real. The fighting system in all of the Street Fighters, except for maybe the first one, has been good. That's not like, I've never played the Street Fighter and said, man, these controls, it's completely unmanageable. I've never felt that way.
From what I've heard, Street Fighter V combat system has wonky hitbox detection, and it's kind of simplified to the point where you can kind of sort of button mash and still do good.
I don't know, man. This is why I said when Yoshinori Ono took over Street Fighter from the original people who made it, like they left. That was when Street Fighter in my mind started going downhill, and so I just said I can't support you anymore. I just can't do it.
So essentially, when he took over, Street Fighter became more about the flash than the substance.
Yeah.
I mean, games like Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear are very flashy, but they still have technicality to them. They still have like intricacies to their fighting system.
Well, I mean,
they got both. So do Skullgirls.
Here's the thing about Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue, in my opinion. Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue, like Street Fighter, really became Street Fighter when Street Fighter 2 came out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That was when the tropes, everything. So basically, every 2D fighting game that's worth a shit is based off of that template. Okay? And yet the people who created that template, which really, I mean, I hate to break this to people who are like, man, I like some weird 2D fighting game. But really, if your 2D fighting game is worth a shit, it's probably stole about 80% of its DNA from Street Fighter 2. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Capcom, instead of refining what they started with Street Fighter 2, started going way too fucking weird and abstract, and we're going to make this game ultra technical, which, I mean, as someone who's like a huge Street Fighter fanboy from back in the day, I mean, I would play that shit arcade, Dreamcast, didn't matter. Like, I enjoy the technicality, but it got so far away from its original roots that it feels like. And then this Street Fighter 5 is the latest affront, in my opinion, because you look at it and it's like, how do you mess this up? Like, they have an M. Bison who just, his moveset's different.
He has a projectile, which he never had.
Some of the things that
Just
some of the things that,
no,
that
go ahead,
they adjusted for other characters, it makes you wonder, who the heck are they making this for?
Well, I mean, I know what Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 is supposed to be their ultimate casual experience that has enough hidden depth that it would keep hardcore on board. The problem is that Capcom rushed that game, and
they rushed it for Evo.
No, they didn't. Hey, look,
Rushed it for Evo, my asterisk. They probably rushed that thing just so they could get their hands on that cash before it was even patched for Star's sake.
It was twofold. It was twofold. They rushed that game because Capcom wanted money, and it was rushed because Sony was like, shit, we don't have anything out. We cannot have a drought where nothing major is coming out. So they said, release it.
Well, you're still been on Sony's part, because look, what I noticed is that Sony doesn't really have to put any games out there. People are just gonna get PS4 just because it's the most popular thing to do. Like, ever bring up PS4 and you don't really talk about the games.
Well, you're right. People aren't buying the PS4 for the games, but here's the thing: Sony was helped to publish that game on the PS4. As a matter of fact, I think they did publish it on the PS4. They get a cut of that money. They also wanted that money because, like I've said before, the money in video gaming is not in the consoles; it's in the software.
Right.
And Sony was like, "Oh shit, we can get a payday." But that game. Let me put it this way: that game has sold 1.4 million on a 45+ million install base. That's a flop. Okay, especially for an established IP like Street Fighter. Okay, if it was some new shit, if it was like Splatoon or Knack or The Order 1886, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But this is an established IP. It's been around for years. And it fell flat on its face.
Yep, it's gone downhill when the originators of something are the ones messing up. Not an imitator, but the originators.
That's the thing. I mean, like, the people who made the Street Fighters that we know and love are gone. They're gone. A lot of them went to Arc System Works. A lot of them went to SNK. Like, and then you've got Yoshinori Ono, that motherfucker, keeps on fucking up the franchise more and more with each iteration. I'm sorry, I don't like Ono. Okay, I know a lot of people like him, but I don't. But that's neither here
I
nor
was gonna
there.
say
If you
I don't know about the
go
guy,
for
but
Ono.
if anything, I like to see what he does. And so far,
Who Ono?
yeah. And as far as I could tell, what he's doing, I I fear what he would do to other fighting game franchises if he ever got to work on them, or if ever
Well, I mean, he
Capcom
messed
get
up
their hands on them.
Darkstalkers. He messed up Darkstalkers because they did a Darkstalkers remake that it's like someone went up
What?
to the 40th floor of a building and threw a watermelon all over the side of the thing and hit the pavement. That's basically what happened to Darkstalkers after Ono was finished getting his hands all over it. Like Capcom has some problems. Let's just leave it at that. Anyone? We've reached the end of our podcast. Anyone want to bring up anything else before we wrap things up? Any free topics they want to bring up and we didn't get to?
Minus the fact that yesterday was the reveal of Final Evolutions for certain franchises. I'm not sure if you guys want to go in there, but otherwise I'll just keep my mouth shut.
No, you can go. What were you going to say?
Okay, I'll go it. I saw yesterday's reveal of the Final Evolutions and then some. I actually enjoyed the Final Evolutions of 2 of the 3 Pokemon. And yeah, and had to groan and cheer at the same time for what has to be the battle tower for the post game. I mean, seriously, we're getting red and blue back in the game too. Oh boy,
That's going to be great. Except they didn't do it right. They really didn't do it right. I wouldn't have had red and blue be in the battle tower, but whatever. Which I mean, they have to make up for that shitty battle tower they had in Ruby and Sapphire.
Which gen?
The remake they had this gen.
Oh, Oras.
Yeah. Alpha
Ruby, Omega
Ruby,
Sapphire.
Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah. They need to apologize because like okay, in Sapphire and Ruby back in the day, like literally once you beat the game, you got almost like a huge amount of post game content. They give you this shitty ass battle tower. I mean, it was shitty. I mean, it's all right. Just keep on fighting. You get no experience. You just get points that you can use to get shit that you can find in the game by yourself anyway. It's like what the hell, man? It's bullshit.
I was gonna say, Ruby and Sapphire had that same problem too. So if anything, oh gods. But if anything, it wasn't until Gen and likely Emerald, to a degree, basically Platinum and Heart Gold, Soul Silver, where I get the battle stations of sorts.
Okay. I mean, I liked the Frontier Brains, Silver and Ruby and Sapphire, but I can understand where you're coming from.
The Battle Frontier was an Emerald.
Oh, you're right. But I mean, still, that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. So if anything, it really shaded me when they ditched it in Gen 5 and kind of lampshaded it on Gen 6.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyone else have anything they want to bring up before we wrap things up?
Oh, let's see. Writers are on strike. You guys talked about the writer strike.
Huh?
Not the writer strike, but the voice actor strike.
They deserve to be on strike. Because I mean, if you saw how they were getting screwed over, it makes sense.
Like, what
Because
was going on? What's the details?
basically their contract expired in 2014, and instead of renewing it, which they should have done, people let it lapse, and these voice actors were like, okay, well, I really want to work, and they were getting taken advantage of by the companies who were employing, getting paid under what they actually deserved to be paid for normal things, and not getting breaks, because if you're a voice actor, like, your voice is literally what you use to make your money, and so you need breaks in order to keep shit working and together and stuff. And they didn't get that, and now they're like, we can't take this. We really need to have a certain level of, we need to renegotiate our contracts. And like the video game developers are like, oh, that's not fair. But I mean, think of it this way: if you do voice work for a game, right, and you become intrinsically linked with that title, and that title sells 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and it makes the people who worked on it, if it makes them like in revenue generated, it makes, like, let's say 60, 70, 80 million. If you're linked to that franchise and you've made like your voice is particularly well known, and really you should get some type of remuneration for
portion of that.
You should get something. It shouldn't just be a flat rate. Well, fuck you. like you. I mean, just on base things, because But then again, let's keep it real. Like, the people who spend 18 months, 2 years working on these games don't get remunerated. A game can sell 3, 4, 5 million, and they get nothing. A lot of these AAA publishers and developers, they don't. So if the people who are working on the shit for 24 months, 36 months are getting screwed over, they don't give a shit about a voice actor. So,
Yeah,
except the voice actors have a union and the developers do not. And if the developers had a union, I guarantee you, this shit would go down a little bit differently.
So, yeah, voice acting isn't as easy as, people probably think it is. And go, well, you're just talking into a microphone. No, sure. I'm sure it's not just that.
Well, no. I mean, think about it. If you're playing an RPG, let's say you're playing all out voice acting for every fucking whatever, which had a lot of voice acting. Like, those people who have to record those things, they have to record all those different interactions, all those conversations for each particular branch. So you're talking hundreds of hours of dialogue.
Yeah.
And not to mention how many takes it may need to get that line exactly right.
Yeah. So, I mean, these people are putting a lot of time, not as much as the developers, but still a decent amount of time in their life, because your voice actor, your voice is your work, and they deserve to be remunerated. I mean, I've said this before. I said more people need to have unions, and they need to have stronger unions. Like, developers need to be able to say, this game is not up to snuff, and I don't want my name attached to something that's going to be a piece of garbage once it comes out. There needs to be a certain level of quality, and if the game doesn't meet a certain level of quality, we need to delay it until we get it right.
Yeah, because Amy Henning's article, it just kind of reminded me of the complaints back in the 80s before the great 1983 crash. And developers weren't getting any respect. They weren't getting paid as much as they should have for making the games. All the attention and a lot of the money just went to the company.
And
even if some of these guys get into the millions with some of these sales, with how little payout it gives at times, I'm shocked that some people are not already in the toilet already.
Yeah, I mean, gaming gaming has changed dramatically from what it used to be back in the day, and there's no denying that. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. And let's just keep it real. I mean, we're seeing another crash. It's not as abrupt. It's not as hard because there's safeties in place that soften the blow. But you're still look. All these studios shuttering. That is a sign that something is going wrong.
Yes,
Okay?
but keep in mind is that back then when the crash happened, people knew about it. People reported it that it was. These days, you got people spinning a narrative saying that everything is fine, except when it comes to a certain company.
Man, that was just one dude. Don't equate all of them. That was just one dude. Let's call him Tang.
The straw man.
No, we'll call the one dude who said that Tang. Tang said that everything is fine. All these studios are shuttering, but everything's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, Red Fox, did you check out the IGN, the front page of IGN? What's plastered all over it?
No, I don't go to IGN.
Who
You
Who
say,
would?
look, I don't either, but by proxy, via Liger, let's just say that, they're not gonna tell you what's actually going on with Sony anytime soon.
Well, no, because Sony gives them money.
I mean, they know where their bread is buttered. Like you saw in Liger's cast all that VR plastered all over the website.
Yeah, and look,
How can you call yourself unbiased?
No, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it totally real. Listen. I am as a business owner. I'm not gonna let someone fuck up my money either. But like, I'm not giving people information.
How is it that video games are supposedly making more money than music or movies, but you see more shutdowns? I don't agree with that statement.
I don't agree with that statement just because, like, okay, yes, potentially, if a game is budgeted well, it can make more money than a lot of movies. But the thing is that video games a video game should not cost more than
A movie.
like a AAA game should not cost more than $50 million to make, and that's like top end echelon. And even Nintendo fucked up because Breath of the Wild, we did the calculations, is $100 million game.
Yeah, that game looks expensive.
You know, that is a AAA game that is AAA by any standard. AAA should be cut in half. Like if it's like 50 million or like around there, 50, maybe you go a bit up to 65, but it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be triple digits in the millions on a AAA game. So if a game, because basically the lower your budget is, the less you have to sell in order to be profitable.
I mentioned a good portion of that is the advertisements.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, because I mean, people always like to compare the video game industry to the movie industry. Well, in the movie industry, the typical thing is that if a movie costs $80 million to make, they spent at least 1/2 to 2 times that on advertising. So Batman v Superman with $150 million movie to make, they spent $300 million advertising it. So that movie was not profitable until they reached $800 million in revenue. Because you have to remember, when they do the overseas revenue generated, they have to split that with the theaters overseas. And here in America, theaters get fucked over by studios when they release their movies. Like it's like a 30-70 split where the theater gets 30 and the studio gets 70. Overseas, it's the opposite. Like it's either 50-50 or 60-40 in China. So like they're like, oh man, this sold so well in China. Yeah, you need to cut those revenues by 60% or even more than half, because that's how much you brought in. And even then, it's like that movie didn't make that much money. And people need to look at the same with video games. Like, you didn't make that much money. That's why Street Fighter 5, 1.4 million. It's a flop.
Yeah, you need to take account to inflation. Let's see, if I can remember right, Metal Gear Solid 5 budget was like 17 million. They only sold like 6. Meanwhile, a bunch of other games like Kirby, Planet Robot only need to sell 250,000 just to break even.
Well, I mean, you have to also keep in mind the budget and advertising. Kirby Canvas Curse was not really. I mean, they were advertised, but it wasn't like they were advertised for maybe 2 weeks. Metal Gear Solid was fucking everywhere. It was in movie theaters. It was in. It was on screen. It was in magazines. It was on TV, like primetime TV. That is fucking expensive. So it may have cost $70 million to produce it, but then you add advertising. It wouldn't surprise me if that game cost 180, 190 million. There's a reason. There's a reason that Konami was like, "Look, Kojima, get your shit, get the fuck out."
Yeah. And you know, the thing is,
pricey.
Yeah, the thing is, despite these extravagant budgets, the end result is not very apparent that a lot of money was thrown at it.
Well, you get a mediocre game. It's pretty, but it's mediocre. Like Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs graphically is not an ugly game, but it's not like. I mean, I wouldn't write home to my parents about Watch Dogs. I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, this game changed my life."
Graphics, mathics, what about the gameplay? They outright lied about what you could actually do in it.
Yeah, but even then, just the gameplay is not very good. It's like,
That's the thing, these are video games. What matters above all is the gameplay. But people seem to have forgotten that in favor of trying to be like movies with quote-unquote cinematic stories or cinematic presentation.
Yeah, gamers don't understand basic shit like that, but that is neither here nor there. Now that we've talked about that, I guess it's time to wrap things up. Anyone have anything they want to pimp out? Articles, videos, anything they want to talk about? Want to draw attention to on their channel? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Okay, to everybody who's listening, go check out Cinemassacre.
Or else. No, I'm joking. James Rolfe is fucking awesome. That and the Nostalgia Critic. And also the Cinema Snob. He's pretty good too.
Right now it's Monster Madness month or something.
Yeah.
You get to learn about obscure horror movies and a little bit of history to them, and you might be interested. Like Frankenhooker.
or The Fly, or Clash of the Titans. the 1982 one that was Ray Harryhausen's last film. And if you don't know who Ray Harryhausen is, what type of film buff are you? No, I'm joking.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I was about to ask if you were done double A. Anyone else want to go? Anything you want to pimp out? Anything you want to be like, look, man, watch this or else?
One would wish.
Yeah, I recommend everybody mark their calendars for January 12th. That's the day Nintendo has their big stream on the Switch.
Man, I ain't marking my calendar for shit.
Well,
At this point, I just don't have the energy to get hyped up about something that I know nothing about. Because the
Yeah,
cake is a
exactly.
lie, folks. Cake is a lie.
For me, I'm just patient.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll do a video about why the cake is a lie, because some people are saying some shit without evidence, and even when you look at the evidence from Nintendo themselves about what's actually going on behind the scenes, no, man, no, it's gonna be different this time. Like, no, it's not.
I
I've
don't
had a
think anything's
dearth.
gonna. I don't think things. I don't think things are gonna be any different. I think third party's gonna be like, yeah, rah rah, and then they'll disappear again.
Yeah, especially if you're expecting Bethesda to put a game on a system to optimize it to run on that thing, to make it so that they can mod it on. No, shit.
You know they're dreaming.
Shit. Anyone says, oh man, because I've been seeing people, man, Bethesda's on board. No, they ain't. You know what Nintendo did? They basically went to people who they sent development kits to and said, hey, would it be okay if we use some footage from some of your games that we think could run on the hardware? And the people said, well, sure, why not? That doesn't mean
They
they're
just want ad
That doesn't mean they're
revenue.
making. It doesn't mean they're making games for the system. I mean, because we heard Rockstar say, "Oh yeah, we got GTA 5 running on it, but we're not going to put it on the system." GTA 5 is on fucking everything.
On a toaster, even for Star's sake.
Shit, I'm pretty sure if Rockstar could get that shit running on a Game Boy, they'd do it. I digress.
they did, and they got a Game Boy Advance, GTA, and Chinatown Wars on DS.
I actually like Chinatown Wars, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I've had a dearth of content, not much to really go on and on about. I'll try to get something out this weekend. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. Might happen Sunday, because after I get home from tomorrow night's party, probably Sunday morning, I will be recuperating from partying way too fucking hard for Halloween. So you guys, I might or might not have some content coming up this weekend. I've been working on a video. I may or may not be able to get it up for you guys. Sorry, but life's been kicking my ass. I'll do the best I can. With that, I bid you guys a good night. And don't listen to people who have an agenda.
Or had too much orange juice.